I always have to wait until that very last note where you like slide down the neck of the guitar with that just you know what I'm talking about, right? Like just the very
Yeah.
very end of it, just the quick little, just not quite like a slide, but just just on the frets. How are
Yeah,
you?
just the last note holdout.
Yeah, I always have to wait because I feel like that is the thing that just pulls it all together. Oh, hold on, we have to start our number box over again because Darren has nothing right now. We'll actually put a zero. We'll actually put a zero up there.
Fuck off.
Oh, Mr. Horton, how are you today?
Always good. We were just watching Loki.
Oh, was it good?
Yeah. I missed like the last 15 or so minutes of it, but I'll catch up on it later.
All right. So I got some cool shit in today.
Yeah.
Check it out. Phone case.
Nice.
Right. I've also got a sweater and a new shirt. Not to pull away from this one, Powerline World Tour '95. But so there's that. I don't know if we really talked about it, but I did have the second half of my root canal done. So
Yeah, you were telling me about it earlier this week.
yeah, that was, well, yesterday is when I had it done. So and then the dentist had like the dental assistant do like the little clay that goes over the top of it. It pretty much just kind of like seals it until you have like the next part done.
Right.
So like the first time I was in there, they hollowed out the tooth pretty much all the way down and said, hey, oh, speaking of which, thank you for reminding me. I'm actually taking antibiotics again because apparently the infection that I had has not gone away completely.
Oh, shit.
So yeah, I got to make sure that I get rid of that. But then they took it out on Tuesday, and oh my god, did it stink! It was like the worst morning breath ever because it literally is just like a cavity sitting underneath this clay for an entire week. I couldn't wash it, I couldn't floss, I couldn't do anything. So they pull it off, and I instantly retch because it's the taste in my mouth now. It was fucking horrible. But then, so they did the rest of the work, and then didn't bother to tell me that they could do a root canal, and or a crown to go with it. Like it needs some kind of structural integrity. So they could have filled it, and I would have been done. But they didn't bring that up until like, oh yeah, so we're gonna schedule you for a crown now, and I'm like, how much is that gonna be? They're like, oh, that's another $2,000.
Shit.
And I'm like, okay, well, you guys haven't really given me an option here. What's the other thing? Well, you'd still have to come back anyway to get a filling done because, I thought we talked about getting a crown. I'm like, look, I'm going off of your guys' recommendations. If you were doing what I wanted to, you guys would just pulled the fucking tooth last week. And it would have been over with, except for a little bit of, like, blood and gauze. So, anyway.
Nice.
But anyway, so the dental assistant is the one that put that little, like, clay in. And she didn't notch it down or anything. She left a huge, like, bump there. So I actually had to come home with, like, tweezers and start, like, scraping at it to get it down so I could actually close my mouth all the way. The dental assistant there just sucks. Like, the dentist is amazing, but the dental assistant, like, they put a little block in your mouth to keep your mouth open. Okay, that's cool. But then this woman kept, like, I don't know if she's just lazy, just didn't care, whatever it was, but you know the little suction tube? She kept, like, pressing it against the block, but my gums or my mouth or my lip or whatever was, like, in the way. So she just kept repeatedly just pinching this shit. And then I'd move, and the doctor's like, oh, the dentist's like, oh, are you in pain? I'm like, Like, oh, okay, well, you moved. And so they pulled the thing out, and I'm like, well, she keeps pinching me with this fucking tube. She's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I thought you were numb. I'm like, and I'm thinking in my head, like, why the fuck would I be numb on this side of my mouth when you guys are working on the farthest back tooth on this side? And that's when I realized that she's just a fucking idiot. So, dentist is great. Dental assistant is horrible. I'm gonna find a new one. I'm not paying another $2,000 for a tooth. It's just
Right.
like I can literally buy an older Honda for the amount of money that I've paid on this one tooth.
It's true.
All right, I could have bought myself a little ricer and been totally fine going to work. I could have like bought one, wrecked it, and bought another one if it was like a '92 Civic. All right, but
um, yeah, my dentist. I had a great hygienist years ago, and then she wound up moving away. But basically, like she knew me, where it's like she could clean my teeth, and there's like certain teeth when they're cleaning it that like when they get underneath the gums, that it's just that pinch sharp pain
yep.
that you'll feel. I years ago I just told her just go to town on the teeth. Don't worry about me. I will fucking deal with it.
See, I'm a little bitch.
She got used to that. And I'm like, this is great because she can just go to town, just get business done, and I'm out of there.
Mm-hmm.
And she moved, and I wound up getting a new one. And this lady like didn't know what the fuck she was doing, so I requested a new one. And I think this must have been probably about a year ago. Very nice lady, but I told her, I'm like, just go to town on my teeth. Don't worry about me. I will deal with it. And she was just a nervous fucking wreck the whole time. And she's like, "Am I hurting you?" And I'm like, "Don't fucking worry about it. It's
I know.
do it."
God forbid someone dealing with a sensitive part of our body is worried about pain.
Oh. I
Yeah, fuck
appreciate the
her.
fact that you were, I appreciate the fact that you were worried about my nerves, but just fucking finish it because otherwise it's just gonna take longer.
Yeah. Don't worry about my nerves or my fillings. Yeah.
Don't worry about my feelings. Just get it over with.
No, no, fillings.
No, I
uh,
said feelings.
I know. I said
Yeah.
fillings. Dentist? No. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, today is also I wanted to bring up before we go into anything else, kind of a somber day for me. One of Mrs. old coworkers who was also streaming passed away today. He
Shit.
actually was, I guess, years upon years ago, he had a heart transplant and had some complications. Somehow got another heart, but then it just got rejected. And so
Yeah.
he's been in a medically induced coma for a while, and his dad, in kind of like almost like a funny type thing, is like, you know what, we will take him off life support tomorrow, which is today, because 6'9" was one of his favorite numbers. And I'm just like, fucking nerd. 69?
Was that his age?
No, it's the number 69.
Yeah, I know.
No,
But,
it's one of
like,
it's one of Don's favorite numbers. The guy that passed away. He was just a little. He's just a little nerd that little
All right.
stoner kid that just loved 69.
Don't understand the relevance, but all right.
The relevance to 69 in a 20-something-year-old.
Okay, but take him off life support because he loved the number 6'9".
No. They, because he was already pretty much gone, and so they waited
Okay.
one additional day because then it would be 6'9". It was just something kind of sweet that is.
Oh God! I just realized today's date. All right.
You're a fucking idiot, aren't you?
No, because that wasn't necessarily clear.
I mean,
So-
it's only on like 6 things in front of you because you have all those monitors and on your phone to your side. And
As of right now, it's only on 3.
so the date's only blasting at you from like 3 of your 12 monitors.
3 of the 5, but nobody's counting.
But yeah, it's although that does bring up like your whole thing brought up a thing of I don't even know what day it is anymore. Like I used to know what day of the week it was, whether it was Army or something else, where I was writing the date down very regularly.
Yeah.
And now, unless I'm doing my paperwork, which I'm really bad at my paperwork and I do it once every 2 weeks, and I'm like, what the hell did I do 3 weeks ago? Oh yeah, that's it. And then I'm writing down a date. At that point, I don't write down dates anymore.
It's so luckily my bills usually land within the same week or two.
Mm-hmm.
And that sort of keeps me on my toes. The only thing that throws me off is like my Verizon bill and my USAA I pay ahead. by 6 months.
Uh-huh.
So it's like a bill I'm not having to worry about.
Okay.
That throws me off, but like after like second or third week on in the month, that's when I start losing like what day it is.
Yeah, because the thing is, okay, so Miss actually pays the landlord now. She wanted something a little extra to go on her credit, even though it's not really reported, but it's something that's technically in her name. That if it ever came up, she could, say, "Oh well, I've been doing this for so long," because she's kind of young, doesn't really have a whole lot of credit history, and
Okay.
so I Venmo Missa. But normally it's one of those things where I'm just like, oh yeah, it's about that time, isn't it? And whether it's the 27th of the previous month or the 5th of this month, whatever, I send her money. And normally it's one of those things of, oh, I'm about to buy some stuff. Did you want anything? So like, Amazon or whatever. And so I'll be like, oh yeah, go ahead and get me this, this, and this, and I'll go to Venmo her money. So let's say it's on like the 21st even, and she's like, hey, I'm doing my Amazon order. Cool. I'll add my rent money into the Venmo at that point and just be like, we're good. So dates mean nothing to me anymore, except there's one date that means something to me as of right now, June 15th.
And that is relative to
Life getting back to normal in the state of California.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I mean, so Newbury Park, you're experiencing something way different in LA, but Newbury Park, the whole Ventura area for the most part, loosened up, I want to say 6 to 8 months ago. For some bars, less than that. But probably about a year ago, a lot of bars started going speakeasy. And that's where we were going for the most part, just to get out of the house. But Tipsy Goat,
Alex is also right. I'll get to you in 1 second.
Tipsy Goat opened up completely. Well, they opened up partially, probably about 4 to 6 months ago. And then they opened up completely probably about a month or so back, where they have tables inside and everything. They're not giving as much of a shit about masks. They're not enforcing like the COVID test or the vaccination thing. But some places still kind of are. I know LA for the most part absolutely is.
It's really weird. So went out to dinner with my little cousin and everything the other night when I was doing that random. I don't know if you saw it or not, but I did a really random real life stream, an IRL stream, where literally it was on my phone. We were hanging out in the car after we had gotten some like milk tea and some other stuff, desserts. And I'm like, fuck it, let's do this. And so I just start streaming, and I end up with like some random people coming in that I'd never talked to before, and they're like, yeah, let's go check this whole thing out. So I had like 2 random ass people from the Just Chatting community. And one of the guys comes in is, do you have time to talk about our Lord and Savior Jesus? And I'm just like, I can talk about how I completely approve of organized religion, as long as it's a religion that you follow based on your beliefs and not the beliefs that were shoved on you by others around you. But other than that, no, I don't have time for it. He's like, good. And then we were friends. But what Alex was bringing up is his lady friend and the lady friend's kiddo will be in town. They will be in California.
So I was actually in Tucson a couple of weeks ago for a wedding, and it was completely open there. So
all right, did you visit Alex while you were out there?
Wait, does Alex live in Tucson?
He lives in Arizona somewhere.
Alex, do you live in Tucson? What?
Are you about to feel like a dick that you didn't say hi to him while you were out there?
Yeah, well, there was one person in particular that I was actually trying to avoid, and that was my uncle, who does live in Tucson. He actually lived like 2 blocks down from the hotel we were at, but I'm like, I don't want to give him the impression that I'm gonna be there. Not Alex, my uncle. And maybe in a way Alex, because there was very limited time that I would have been able to see anybody, unless you were part of the wedding, like as in just a fucking guest. So because after the wedding, some of us went out afterward, and that may have been the only opportunity to see anybody, but that was still like 10, 11 o'clock at night,
I think that's supposed
and
to
we
say
were gone the next
Glendale.
day. Glendale
Although
isn't it? Okay.
I would totally like to live in Glenzale.
How far is that from Tucson?
I don't know, but anyway,
Let's see.
but yeah. So Alex, when okay, so I know when you're coming out here, but why are you coming out, and like what areas you're going to be in? Are you just going to be in like the Simi area? Are you going to be where? Because Miss and I do want to actually hang out with you, at least have dinner, something. And you are picking a
Okay,
good time
so
to come back out.
Glendale is a portion of Phoenix, so we probably passed through.
See, you could have gone and hung out with them, grabbed some lunch on the way through, but no, don't care about anyone's feelings but your own.
Didn't have time, man. And then Joe had to drive to Temecula the next day we got back.
Okay, that just
So
that sounds like a Joe problem.
it is and it isn't. It's not something he intended on having
Mhm.
as a problem. It became one, and in order to balance things out correctly, this is what he has to deal with. And everyone always throws in the argument, well, why don't you take her to, court hearings for custody or whatever. Realize how much money that fucking costs?
I love how you go from being really, really vague, from like he had things to do in places, and
Got very specific.
then got super, super specific. You're like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's somewhere on the earth. It's somewhere on like the corner of Cochrane and Tapo Street.
Let's just say that was the issue at hand. And so bottom line is he had to go see family the next day. And that's a 2-hour drive.
On the
So
at the best of times.
after doing an 8-hour drive Thursday, a wedding on Friday, and then another 8-hour drive on Saturday, and then he had to do another 2-hour drive one way on
Mhm.
Sunday, and then another 2-hour drive back. So that was just a fucked up weekend. So if it were to like see Alex or actually see people for that reason, we wouldn't do it at the same time as a wedding.
Oh no,
We
I totally get it. I just like giving you crap, as you probably very well know.
that's fine.
You're like, yeah, whatever. That's
Yeah.
normal.
Yeah, there was something I was gonna bring up, but I completely derailed. Oh yeah, with everything opening up. Yeah, I what 15th is the magic number or the magic date?
That's what California is. I don't know if that is going to be what LA is, because LA is the leader of the free world by being farther behind than anybody else.
Yeah.
They lead from the rear.
Literally lead from the rear. Yeah, so it basically an authoritative sense, California as a state is going to ease up on the rules. It is up to the counties and municipal governments to decide if they actually want to roll it back.
Yeah.
So whether or not LA actually does it, Ventura absolutely will. Ventura will be like, fuck yeah, let's just open the doors wide open.
It's really funny, actually, how blue LA is, considering that literally every county surrounding it is like a shade of red and like just gets progressively darker. So like all the people that work in LA are coming from all these incredibly like red areas, and the farther out you go, the redder it gets. Granted, I'm like expanding this way, even though there's like a coast right there, so it's just this and and then you go so far away from LA that then you become North Mexico, and then you're blue again because of San Diego.
Which is really surprising that San Diego's as blue as it is, because San Diego is actually a military town with the MCRD San Diego.
But it's not. Oceanside is. So if you go a little bit north of it, yes.
That's what I'm saying. It's weird that San Diego is as blue as it is. Because most towns that I've been to that have housed a military base, it's very red, and military people get no free passes.
Mm-hmm.
You go outside those city limits, then yeah, you might get a free pass from the law enforcement or whatever.
And, you know, I've always actually found it kind of funny. And I guess today is going to be one of our butt politics days, because that's kind of what it's shaping up to be.
Right.
But it's really funny to me, and I've always kind of wondered
Alex.
why it is that the oh, thank you very much, Alex. We will have an amazing stream. But it's always been fascinating to me that the poorer states are much more red, and the states that have more money, which means that they're actually being dicked over by the government so much more by losing more of their money to like taxes and whatever it is, are blue.
Well, it doesn't surprise me. So most of the more red states, the operative word there is conservative. So is someone with the mentality of being a conservative
Mm-hmm.
more apt to include technology in their daily life? So it's not necessarily a rhetorical question, because you look at a state like Montana, for example, which is a lot of farmland. Is Facebook going to help them with growing crops? Probably not.
Oh, I'm
YouTube.
really not sure if you're wanting answers to this or not.
It's not necessarily a rhetorical question,
Mm-hmm.
but then you go to a state like California, where yes, we too have agriculture, but um, in a lot of ways, I can't really put this on Mark Zuckerberg, but in a lot of ways, I want to say probably in the early 80s, companies were just finding the California coast to be more of an enjoyable location. And I believe back then there was a tax incentive to do so.
Yeah,
So when
but
you have all this money coming in through the state, you elect certain people with a certain mentality of thinking, well, if they're earning that much more, then they should pay that much more. Well, logic dictates that if you're going from $1 million at a 10% tax to $10 million at a 10% tax, you're still going to pay more.
mm-hmm.
But they didn't see it that way. They just decided to up the ante and raise the taxes, and now all these companies are leaving.
Which again I just find really funny. Which is one of the things. As crazy as the dude is, naming his daughter like Archangel, whatever the fuck it is.
Talk about Zuck.
No, Musk.
Oh, Elon.
Elon Musk named his daughter like Archangel because, and they couldn't use certain numbers or whatever in the name because the DMV doesn't allow it.
I whatever.
But anyway, like the dude's batshit crazy. All right, like
Oh yeah.
we all know it. I mean, he put what, a convertible in space. I thought it was awesome, but the dude is batshit crazy. Um, but even he's like, "Oh, you're not going to work with me? Not a problem. I'm
Yeah.
moving."
Yep.
And LA is like, wait, hold on. What, you're doing what? And he's like, I'm leaving. They're like, you can't. He's like,
Mm. Yeah,
yes, I
okay.
can. It's actually part of one thing that Biden is doing right now, and he is trying to get everybody that's in the G7 to have a minimum corporate tax of 15% in their country.
That'll never happen.
Oh no, it is though. They're signing it. So then people like Ireland are completely against it, and they're like, "Fuck it, guys! We have a 12.5% tax. Come
Yep.
here."
Yeah.
Could you imagine the Congo that has like a 1% tax on like things? I'm
And
sorry, but 1% tax on something like Tesla is going to be more than that country's like annual GDP.
here's the other hilarity is Apple, Microsoft, Dell, they were all doing it for years. Switzerland, which I believe is part of the G7, I can't remember.
Uh-huh.
But for years, Switzerland had like a less than 5% corporate tax, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the only requirements to actually establish and be entitled to consider that your headquarters is in that country. It's sorry, I'm just burping left and
You're
right.
burping up a storm over there.
I know.
You okay?
Um, I think so. The only requirement is basically any kind of facility with a secretary, a manager, and a janitor. You know, you need 3 employees to run the fucking shop, and you can consider it a headquarters and get entitled to that kind of tax. Now, I'm exaggerating those numbers, but you can kind of get the idea.
Mm-hmm.
So, if the Congo, which had a 1% corporate tax, if people decide to just go there, all they need to do is throw up a tiny little shop when have a couple people run the joint, and then have your annual fucking meeting there and be done with it. So sorry, Biden, but that's a stupid move. And all the other idiots that signed into this idea, say bye-bye to your companies. And all that tax revenue that you could have had at 2, 3, 4, 5%, what's 0% of a multi-billion-dollar company? Zero.
It was just really funny to me that that kind of stuff was that kind of stuff is going on right now, because a lot of
Yeah.
corporations are actually being like, so every dollar that a corporation makes is double taxed. No matter how you do it, it is double taxed already.
Oh,
Be-
it is taxed so many different ways.
because, well, I mean, the single dollar, I think any dollar that you make if you're part of a corporate thing is taxed 4 times.
Roughly. It's about the total tax that a corporation will pay, corporation specifically. The average, I think, is about 45%.
Well, okay, so there's 45% on a dollar that they make, right?
That's the total. So of all the taxes that they have to pay,
Right.
I believe it adds up to about 45% on the average,
So
depending
that
on what state or country you're in.
so that's 45% there, all right? So that single dollar is now worth 65 cents. All right? But we're going to round that dollar back up to a dollar just for the sake of this conversation. And then it gets
Okay.
given to an employee that is having that money taken at between 10 and 20%. I'm just big number there, but we'll go with 10. I'm just going to go with 10, all right? Just to make things kind of easy.
All right.
And then you then get your 90 cents or your 90% of that, what would that be? 55 cents. So now you get your 50 cents that the company actually made, and then you tax it again when you go to buy something, with state and federal taxing being, sales tax or whatever in California being like LA at 10.5 or 11%.
Mm-hmm.
So really, that dollar that corporation made, 45% of that goes back into the economy, like into someone else's, and the rest of it goes right back into the government itself.
Sure.
What,
So, all right, let's use your arithmetic. The average being 45%, so that means 45 cents is gone to the state.
so 55 is
Right.
left over.
45 has a portion of it has gone to the state, portion of it has gone to the government,
Yes.
federal government.
But I'm just
Right.
using nice round numbers, so 55 cents
Yeah.
is left over.
So what you have not included in the 55 cents that's remaining is what's called cost of goods sold. And generally speaking, if you are good at what you do, your labor, your supplies, materials, and all that shit should not add more to about 30%.
Oh, no. I'm not
Right.
even worried about that stuff. I'm literally just talking purely about how much the government gets back from a single dollar made at a corporation.
Well, okay, so this is, I think it was in the 2016 elections. I think Trump touted the idea. He was in favor of a 3-tier tax program.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Carson, that's who it was. He was in favor of the flat tax. In exchange for doing a flat tax between both individuals and corporations, get rid of all the fucking loopholes. That to me is a square exchange.
But it's not, because all these people want their tax havens and
But tax haven's different.
And I don't make enough money to be taxed.
A loophole is a different story. And it's not necessarily a loophole, it's one of those freebies. So for example, out of the 55 cents that I have left, let's say 25 cents, let's be nice, goes to cost of goods sold. All right. So now we're up to 70 cents used up, which means 30 cents is remaining. In that 25 cents of cost of goods sold, I am including labor. All right. This includes A, B, C level executives, ground employees, management, everything.
Okay.
All right. That's already covered. So the business is retaining 30 cents in liquid cash. That is what you're supposed to do. All right. And out of that 30 cents, 10 of it could be inventory, whatever. All right. That's what you're supposed to do. Now, in the 45 cents that's technically earmarked for taxes, one loophole, for example, I call it a loophole, but it's not a loophole. Let's say a business decides to acquire new property, all right, because they want to build more manufacturing plants since demand is going up.
And we lost him. That's a really cute face, though, Darren. Right before that P comes out and up. It's just up. Hopefully he comes back. He should. Normally pretty good about coming back. But anyway,
Hang on. Getting there. All right. So let's say you wanted to, let's say demand is going up for your product. All right. Not just, it's not that you're only business, it's just demand is going up.
You're talking about how much money a business makes off of that dollar, correct?
No. So you have 45 cents earmarked for the state and the federal government, right?
Okay.
And let's say you wanted to acquire new property to build more manufacturing plants so you can provide more to the consumers. You can meet the demand. All right. By acquiring new property, does that mean you're also creating employment? The answer is yes. All right. So by creating employment, you are therefore given a tax exemption on the property you acquire. And let's say out of that 45 cents, that costs you 10 cents of the dollar. All right. What that does is it allows you to write off 10 cents, which I think in turn, if my arithmetic is correct, it's about 20 to 25%. So call it $2.50 knocked off of what it is you would have to pay in taxes.
Okay.
And that would bring you down to about 42 and a half. So that's the way the current system is. And that shit makes sense. It's a fair exchange.
Yep.
So in lieu of not having to pay $25 or a quarter in taxes or whatever, you created employment, you created jobs, you benefited the economy. And then the money that those employees make, now we're going into the cash life cycle, which is economics 101. Employees make money from their employer. They go out and spend it on groceries. Well, that grocery store receives that as revenue. Then they spend that on employees. Their cashier or whatever then takes that money and spends it on the salon. And the salon brings in revenue. It's the life cycle.
Right,
And
but what the thing is that I get at that point is that yes, they're taking that money like that, right? But it basically boils down to every dollar you spend after it's exchanged hands 5 times, that $1 initially had to actually be worth closer to $4 in order for it to still be $1 because of taxes and everything else by the time it reaches the 6th person's hand.
Not necessarily true. It just depends on what it is you're referring to, because an employee, an individual receiving money as income is slightly different than a business receiving it as revenue, because the revenue in on itself is taxable, but it's at a different rate than an individual is.
No, I understand that. All I'm saying is the amount of times a single dollar, like a single penny, will be taxed. How much of that would you have to increase it? So let's say, in order to pay a person $1, a company would technically have to make closer to $1.60.
Well, okay, so in that arithmetic, if you're keeping it per dollar, again, cost of goods sold, about 25 cents on the dollar is where you should be. So out of that 25 cents, that employee's cost, you'd have to pick a business. But if you're talking like something like Elon Musk and Tesla, I would imagine one employee on the average is probably 0.0001%
of cost. Like, no, I get that.
1 penny of that 25 cents.
I don't think the idea that I'm getting is actually like coming through for some reason.
You might be.
I'm really bad at explaining this stuff because, like, this is not my forte at all whatsoever. But basically, what I'm getting at is that if a company makes $1, okay, government gets 45 cents out of that $1, right? Does not matter. I'm not talking about 100%. I'm talking about just a single dollar.
Yeah.
Of that $1 that they've made, if they want to pay their employee $1, that means that the company would have actually had to have made like $1.40 in order to give them $1 because of taxation. If that employee wants to spy something that is worth $1, technically they have to pay $1.10, which would then up the thing from the employee to like almost $1.70.
So what you're kind of broaching a little bit is what's it called? It's in the news. The
taxation without representation.
No,
I'm kidding.
The minimum wage increase. I laugh at that shit all the time because if you ever want to know how economics works, either unnecessarily pump money into an economy,
which we're doing,
or raise the minimum wage,
which we're doing,
which they're doing. And what that does is it creates inflation, and inflation can happen one of two ways. It can happen in the manner of pumping money into an economy, which devalues the dollar. So if a gallon of milk costs $1, and there's so much money going on in the economy that, the greenback is a dime a dozen, everybody has it. Well, all right, we'll just increase the cost of milk without actually increasing wages.
Yep.
All right. That's one way inflation can happen. The other way inflation can happen is when you increase minimum wage. Why is it that they're increasing minimum wage? Because people can't meet their standard of living. Well, then change your fucking standard of living, you dumbasses.
So I have this conversation a lot, and this is a very unpopular opinion. And it is an unpopular opinion more so on the liberal left, okay? And I'm not talking about like the liberal extremes, but it is a very unpopular opinion because most people want to view themselves as good people. They want to view themselves as compassionate. They want to view themselves as just a decent human being. You know, the whole like karma positive type thing.
Like perception is reality.
Right. But what a thing is that a lot of people cannot get their heads around, and it really does suck, and I wish it wasn't this way, but in order to have a have, you have to have a have-not. There is no way to have people that have something without having people that do not have that thing.
Well, one of the problems that's kind of thrown that for a wrench, what I was going to say was when you raise the minimum wage because for people to meet their standard of living, let's say the minimum wage is $7.50 and you want to raise it to 15, you want to double it. All right. So you have 10 employees, 40 hours a week, and those 10 employees cost you $4,000 a week. All right. Well, now and let's say your total revenue that you bring in per week is 10 grand. All right. So your net profit minus any other cost of goods sold is 6 grand.
60%, yes.
Right. Now you're doubling the minimum wage without actually increasing revenue. So what's your labor cost now? 8 grand. All right. You are now in the hole by $4,000 as a business. So how do you respond to that? Especially in a technological day and age. All right. I'm going to take the 10 employees. I'm going to trim them down to 2. I'm going to do all these machines where customers can order their own shit on these fucking computers. Automated replacement is what it's called. And now I'm just going to hire one more person to handle the maintenance of it. And now my labor cost is down to 1,500.
Yep. I was going to say like 2 grand.
Yeah, about 2 grand.
And with all of that, you can also increase prices.
You don't even have to increase prices because you've already increased your profit margin. You haven't changed a fucking thing other than actually shrinking your labor. And guess what? You upped the minimum wage, and what the fuck did it do for you? It lost you your job. So
they actually did up in Seattle. They did increase the minimum wage to $15 an hour, and they did it very, very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And what they found is that the people that were working minimum wage jobs that got a $15 an hour job and working, 40 hours a week, were now making so much money that they were no longer they were no longer able to get government assistance.
Uh,
So
so
they
that's
lost welfare, they lost food stamps, they lost a bunch of these welfare state type things that were coming in. So what ended up happening is that all of these people now are working part-time job at $15 an hour. So they're actually working less, making more, well, making the same amount of money, working less, and still on these government assisted programs.
those are legitimate loopholes within state and federal programs that people, the smart ones that are taking advantage of. The root cause of the problem when you start talking about the minimum wage is the standard of living. One of my economics teachers, I think it was for my capstone, just nailed it fucking perfectly. He's like, if you brought in today, if you made $10
Uh-huh.
and you have a choice between two steaks, one costs $5, one costs 20, which can you afford?
The $5 one.
$5 one, right?
Yep.
If you brought in $20 and you have a choice between a steak that costs $20 and $5, which can you afford?
$5.
$5. All right. That leaves you with 15 for other things that you might need. Now, let's say you brought in $30 and you have a $20 steak and $5 steak. Which are you going to choose?
$5 steak still.
$5 steak still.
Unless it's a special occasion.
Sure. Whatever. So you have the right train of thought. And the reason why is I'm going to go with the cheapest of all the options because then I can stash the rest of the money. The problem with most people, especially in liberal economies, is they tend to go after the $20 steak no matter what they're making. And the bridge to that is credit.
Yep.
So I dealt with this in tech school. There was a kid that I had to take under my wing.
Did he marry a stripper and buy a Camaro at a 29% interest rate?
He probably.
Sorry, that if for anyone that's out there that's never heard that particular thing, it is a very common thing for like brand new, straight out of basic training, like Army privates. They get to their first duty station, they buy a Camaro at like 40% interest rate and marry a stripper.
So I'm gonna send you to this privately because it would be really wrong to say in a public sense. This is what the dude reminded me of. All right,
Oh,
now
Jesus Christ.
he's probably about 5 foot tall. He wasn't very tall. Young kid from Texas. He was like 17 years old, I think, when he enlisted. Somehow, some way, made it through basic training.
Mm-hmm.
So he was a nice kid.
Why do you have to send things to me from so many different things? Like, you use Discord sometimes, you use Facebook other times. Like, can you just like standardize how you send me things?
I mostly send things through Facebook Messenger,
Even though you're like on Discord right now.
Because if I use Discord, if you're watching my stream, then I have to minimize this. I have to go to your fucking your little fucking message thing, which everyone can fucking see. No. Anyway.
By the way, the easiest thing to do is you pop out the camera, like you pop out the video, and then that's the screen that you actually. No, just too much effort.
Too much effort. I don't even care to use Discord as it is. Anyway, this kid went in open enlistment, and I think probably like 7th week is when you start getting your jobs in the Air Force. He got his job, and it happened to be the same as me and my buddies, because we are guard, and we got our jobs before we even set foot on a basic training.
Okay.
So he's going to the same tech school as us, in the same class. All right. The rule is if you fail a test, you don't necessarily wash back. You get a chance to retake the test before you wash back.
Okay.
And so if you fail the second time, then you wash back to another classroom that will that's going through the same studies. And then if you fail that test the third time, if you are in a combat job in the Air Force, you are reprogrammed into a non-combat job, and now that can include security forces, which is military police. Um, it can include civil engineers, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
If you are, if you flunk out of a air traffic control is also a non-combat position, unless you get a skill level that requires you to go out with, you know, specialized teams like a JTAC.
Okay.
That's different. However, air traffic control is a non-combat tech school, so if you wash out of that, then you go back to you get reprogrammed into administrative positions. If you fail out of the administrative positions, which mine technically was, but it was on the finance side, you are kicked out of the Air Force altogether. And this kid failed a test, so the commandant asked me or asked him, is there an airman you can look up to that could take responsibility for you? And he's like, Airman Hahn. Not the brightest kid in the book.
I don't know why anyone would ever want you to be the one watching after them.
Oh, I fucking got his ass into shape.
And he still failed out.
Not yet. So, not yet.
Sorry, I'm jumping ahead of the story.
I had control of him, and dude, that kid's life sucked for about a good 3 weeks. Hey, Mom. Janine. I had him under my wing. From class got out, I think at like 3:30, and then we had PT after that, and then the duty day was done by about 5. I told him, I'm like, you got an hour for the chow hall, and you're gonna meet me back in the study room at 6. So life's gonna suck for you, but it's gonna suck for me as well. And for 2 hours a night, we were fucking hammering the books. So he passes his test. I'm like, great, cool.
Get away from me.
Now I'm going to ease it off of you. So it's only going to be 1 hour. Pass that test. Awesome, cool. Now it's only going to be checking up on you for like 15 minutes. Fails it. I'm like, motherfucker. So we went right back to it. Right back to the books. Fails again. I'm like, dude, what's the problem? This kid blew his... did you also have the commissary star cards?
Yes.
Okay. This kid got a commissary star card literally the week he got there. Blew the entire $1,000 on food, clothes, you name it.
Mm-hmm.
And even fucked up his own ticket going home for Christmas. This is how stupid... Not stupid, but not the smartest kid in the block.
It's one of those things. I've actually talked to quite a few people in the Army about it, and it is that, especially if they have like an enlistment bonus. So like the Army was doing enlistment bonuses forever, right? Mm-hmm. And you take somebody that came from, and no offense if you're from Alabama or West Virginia, but you take someone from these like kind of like low income type areas, you throw them into something where legitimately food, housing, clothing, like everything that you could ever need in life is 100% paid for.
Provided to you.
I mean, just given to you. And you don't even have to think about... And you don't even have to think about what you're wearing or where you're going because someone has told you. They will literally hold your motherfucking hand.
And that's what I told this kid. I'm like, how do you blow your star card? We were all sitting at a table in the DFAC, and he pulls out this fucking Nintendo DS, and he sets it down, and he's like, and hon, what's up? And we're all from the same basic flight sitting at the table. Can I borrow $20? I'm like, what do you need $20 for? Well, I don't have any money, and I was hoping to, buy some food for my dorm. I'm like, well, how come you don't have $20? Well, I maxed out my star card. Motherfucker, how do you max out a star card with everything provided to you? 3 square meals a day, water at your fucking will. What the hell else do you need? Well, I bought some clothes as well. Why do you need fucking clothes?
You're not going anywhere.
You're not. At least not until you have the fucking privilege of being able to go off base. And even then, you only need clothes maybe a couple nights a week, which you should have already brought.
No, but again, that's the whole thing of... Although
I made him cry.
Okay, so... Oh, by the way, yeah, Georgia is fucking bad, alright? Atlanta, not as much, but you get to those fucking, like the boonies in Georgia, no, you guys are just as fucking bad.
And half my family's from Birmingham, Alabama. So, and I've been out there many times. I know the whole good old boy country.
And the whole thing, and
Um,
the reason, and there's actually like a really good reason why I picked Alabama and West Virginia, because one's a black state, one's a white state. They're all fucking idiots.
and this kid came from Southern Texas. So he's telling me, he's like, well, can I borrow $20? And I'm like, well, how about we do some collateral? What's collateral mean? Means you give me something and I give you $20, and if you fail to pay me, then I sell what you gave me.
You
And
took his
he's like,
DS.
"Oh, yep." Right in front of everyone. He's like, well, what could I give you that I could get $20 for? And I'm like, that Nintendo DS looks pretty damn good.
Did you get your $20 back?
No, I didn't have that black of a heart, so I gave him the $20, and I'm like, dude, get your fucking life together. And I even told the commandant this. I'm like, I'm 2 seconds away from taking over his fucking finances because this kid does not have his life straight. But I'm like, the only authority that's bestowed on me is education. So
I don't know, man. I mean, a simple, power of attorney goes a long way.
You want to know what happened to him? He ended up flunking. He ended up getting washed out, and then he flunked out completely. They had him on just general duties until he could be discharged, and then he transferred over to, guess what? The Army.
And there, it does not matter how many times you fail out, they will slam your face into that brick wall until your face goes through it.
Yeah.
And all you had to do, instead of hitting the brick wall, is just open the door, slide open a window, and you could have just, gone straight through. Some people do like trying to go over the wall. Some people are idiots and try going under it. Myself, I opened a door.
I'll send you his Facebook profile later, because I'm still friends with him on Facebook, because our old flight still stays in contact. Yeah.
I got into this conversation a while ago. I don't know, Merv, I don't know if you were ever in or if anyone else in here. I know that Bongshire was in the Army for a while. Do you remember the name of your fuck up in basic training?
Oh, yeah.
What was his name? Airman what?
I'm not going to reveal his name, but I do remember.
Private Edwards. I will absolutely 100% throw that motherfucker under a bus.
The story I told you is the very kid.
Oh my god. No, this dude was just such an idiot. Like, he could not go without comic books. And so, in order to be able to have his comic books, he would go over to other people's bunks and hide them under their mattresses. So that if they were ever found... But here's the problem, all right? He wrote his fucking name in them! Okay, and I don't mean that he wrote his first and last name in it. I mean, he wrote down PV1 Edwards.
Wait, and this is in basic, right?
Yes!
Are you even given the title of private in basic?
Well, I mean, I was a PFC, because the thing is depending on what you do, you can actually have rank. Granted, we're all privates.
So that, I guess that's a distinct difference between the Army and the Air Force. Is in the Air Force, you are not even referred to by rank because you haven't earned it, and so you're called trainee until your, I think it's the coin ceremony when it is legally allowed for you to put on rank. And
so
you're acknowledged by rank.
It kind of depends on what you're doing. Like what you're actually doing as far as how much they're going to beat you down. So when I went through infantry school and I was on the path to for the 18X program, right? No one had rank. It did not matter if you were an E1 or an E4, you were private. That was it. You were not private first class, you were not specialist, you were just private. And that was it.
Right.
That's fine. But when I went through MP school, they're breaking you down, but they also have to instill in you that no matter what people say, your word, I mean, in a very figurative and also a literal sense, your word is law. And so they can't take these people that they've completely destroyed and then put them in front of, a 1-star and tell him that he can't enter his own building because of something. I use that as an example because it was actually a thing that happened. Brand new PFC was put out on a detail in Fort Dix, New Jersey, and he was told let nobody in. Basically, there was a suicide, and no one was allowed in. The base commander came over and said, "Let me in," and he said no, and he held his ground as a PFC against a 1-star. And our the watch commander had, not the watch commander, but the death sergeant had to come out there. He was an E7 at the time, and he's basically like, "Sir, all due respect, get the fuck out of here, or you're leaving in an ambulance," because that's the whole thing. And he apologized later. The dude got a 1-star coin, so he didn't pay for drinks for a long ass time and whatever. But
Right.
but that was the whole thing. It's like, how can you really break those types of people down? And the thing is, we're not in a basic training and then go somewhere else for our tech school or AIT or whatever it is. As an MP, it's OSET. So you are with the same drill sergeants, the same people and everything else for 6 straight months.
So security forces, which is the military police for the Air Force, they actually have this. It's actually Lackland Air Force Base is the OSET for that. So Lackland Air Force Base is the OSET for security forces and PJs, combat controllers, I believe, and combat weather, I believe. They eventually go off to different schools, but the indoctrination is all held at the same base.
So,
and but yeah, in the Air Force, you're not even acknowledged by rank. Nobody is, like, the E1 is an airman. You're not even an airman. You're a trainee until like day 62 of 65. And day 62, you're referred to as airman first class. So
yeah, we had to do that whole thing. But our stuff wasn't horrible. You know what I mean? Like that whole thing. There are a couple of OSETs, and they are around different areas. Like like if you ask any medic, you know that they're going to Fort Sam Houston at some point. They're 68 whiskey. They're going to Fort Sam Houston. That's the end of it.
I have a friend that did that.
And I don't even think it matters what branch you're in. I'm pretty sure you go to Fort Sam Houston for medical training.
Yep.
The Navy might be something different. I don't know about the Navy, but I'm pretty sure they still go to Fort Sam Houston. Just like if you want to do airborne school, you are going to Fort Benning, Georgia. There was someone else that was telling me, "Oh, I did airborne school in." I'm like, "No, you didn't." Like, you can do whatever you can say whatever you want. Airborne school is Fort Benning for every branch. That's the end of it.
You want to start the count? For those playing the home game.
1.
So there's jump school and airborne school. 2 very different things.
Well, there is another one also, which is air assault, which is repelling from helicopters. That is kind of taught at base level in a bunch of places.
That's okay. So I'm speaking specifically to parachutes, not repelling from a fucking helo.
Now, are you talking about Halo and Hey-Ho jumps, high altitude, high opening?
I have no idea.
Basically, if you're talking about actually pulling your own chute, that is something totally different than airborne school. Airborne school, you're up to a static line, you step off, your chute's pulled for you, that's the end of it. If you're talking about actually pulling your own cord, then now you're talking about Halo school, which is high altitude, low opening. You basically jump above radar, you open your chute below radar, or just basically skydiving, where you jump out, you open your chute whenever the hell you want to.
Most of the guys that I processed orders for was for basically just a jump school, so probably opening your own parachute.
Okay.
Because our guys didn't really. They're not infantry necessarily. So our closest thing to infantry security forces, and security forces is not going to jump out of an airplane.
Right.
So the only ones that are going to be jumping out of airplanes are all of the J6. Go for it.
I think this is home. Give me 1 minute. Darren, go ahead and take your break.
Perfect timing.
I'm back, guys. Johnny, how are you doing today? Yeah, Missa just got home, and like I brought up earlier, about Dawn, so I'm good. Found out that one of Marissa's old coworkers actually lot of health issues for years, pretty much. Transplanted heart gave out on him, and he had to have another one, and was put in a medically induced coma, and they took him off life support today. So she's kind of having a rough day, but you know, nothing we can really do. Good kid though. Always, I mean, I love Don. He was a fucking idiot, but God, I loved him.
Oh man,
Hi,
welcome back.
thank you. But yeah, Missa came home and ah, sucks. Johnny, do you remember the name of the fuck up in your basic training? I'm telling you, man, everyone remembers it.
Oh yeah, and so for mine, he wasn't really that.
The only
Keeping
people
it
that don't
to-
remember the fuck up is because they were the fuck up.
The only reason why he was uh that I don't necessarily I call him the fuck up of the fight is because he was the one that was with us through and through. There was one person that came in who was recycled or washed back, and he too was a fuck up, but different reasons.
Yeah, the recycles I never count. It's the one that starts from the beginning that just keeps getting people in trouble, and it's like if you guys don't like straighten him up, I'm gonna fuck you guys up. And it's like all you're gonna do is create animosity towards this one dude. Like we already don't like him, so
We didn't dislike him. It was just, he was a fuck up.
like I said, the dude was literally putting comics underneath other people's beds so that he wouldn't get caught with them. But he was an idiot. Oh, he was a fucking idiot.
And I don't think he's learned his lesson necessarily. I would hope so. But
The worst thing is that dude, Private Edwards, graduated MP school. Okay,
I'm surprised who makes it and who doesn't.
I'm sorry, but there's just no fucking standards for the military right now. Like even the Air Force, pass this test, you can go in. Great, pass the test.
Yeah, it doesn't make you good. And that was the thing that I was clear on with some of my superiors. Like my one of my supers, Master Sergeant Tagalog, good, awesome fucking dude, just a solid guy. And he was an E6 when I first got there, and I just told him straight up, I'm like, look, yeah, I graduated tech school, cool. I need to actually be hands-on with these fucking systems in order to actually be useful. Because I could recite you shit from the book, but that ain't gonna mean diddly squat to actual application.
Yep.
If I don't know exactly what I'm doing.
So that's kind of funny because the week I got home from MP school, okay, like the week I got home, because like I said, I was a reservist. I got a call from my unit about deploying, and I'm like, I just got out of basic training like a few days ago. And he's like, well, did you complete MP school? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, then you're
up,
good to go. And that's when I thought they were fucking with me because he wanted me to be there on April 1st. And I'm like, oh,
it makes sense.
Oh, good joke, Master Sergeant. He's like, oh, I didn't even think about that. Make it March 31st, so you know I'm not joking around. I'm like, fuck me. I was there on March 31st. But go ahead.
Yeah, I almost got tapped for a deployment. Both guard and my job is just way different than active duty. So a deployment was coming down the pipe for my job code, which is all 200 plus bases throughout the guard. So you literally have to throw your name in the hat, and it's a lottery if you get picked. It's even in an act of war, it takes a lot to basically pick up an entire comptroller office and deploy them. It can happen, it's just not often.
Okay.
But anyway, a deployment was coming down the pipe for basically, I think he was a cash agent, basically a money man with a gun. And I don't know the details as to why he got taken out, but
And he's gone. Yeah, Discord really hates him, guys. I don't know what it is, but I think Discord knows that he doesn't like Discord. And it's one of those things, well, if you're not gonna like me, I'm just gonna fuck with you every chance I can. So, I don't know, maybe if he was a little bit nicer to Discord, maybe took it out to dinner every once in a while, maybe gave it a back rub, gave it a glass of wine, told her it's pretty.
No.
See, like, that's all you gotta do, man. You give Discord a little bit of respect, and everything goes great.
It is useless to me. 100% useless to me. Anyway, deployment came down the pipe, and same guy, Matt Sergeant Good. He's like, hey, something's coming down the pipe. I'm like, where's it going? He's like, Qatar, Afghanistan. I'm like, where in Afghanistan? He's like, Jalalabad. Cool.
So you're like,
let's do it. Throw my name in for that.
You're like, so
if I'm gonna go, let's go all the way.
You have vacation or vacation?
I don't know if I'd call Jalalabad a vacation, but sure.
Well, if the other one's Qatar, I mean,
those are two very different places. I'm like, yeah, if I'm gonna go, let's go all the way.
I just whether, because I mean, I'm not going in in the military anymore, but at some point I need to go to Djibouti. Just so anyone that ever talks to me, I'm like, you know what? I've been in Djibouti. C-3PO's been in Djibouti. Just because. Like, that's the best meme place ever. Like, places on Earth that I would like to visit at some point. Djibouti. Lake Titicaca. It's a real place. It's the largest lake in South America, I believe.
You just want to go to say that you've been to Lake Titicaca.
Absolutely. That I have been in Titicaca. Like, come on. Is that not a good story? It's a hell of a lot. Hey, it's a better love story than Twilight.
Anything's a better love story than fucking Twilight.
There are people that will fight you on that on those grounds.
Oh, I'll win every fucking time. Especially if you want to dissect like the actual vampire stories. I will shit left and right on Twilight.
Why? Because they sparkle? Do you have something against Lisa Frank?
Yeah. All right. For starters, vampires don't sparkle in the sun; they die.
Well, not this person's vampires, and that's the whole thing. Is that she's created.
This person's vampires do not matter. All right, they do not count. I'm sorry, they are not fucking vampires. They're something completely fucking different. Don't call if this bitch that made the Twilight series called them anything other than fucking vampires. Call them bloodsuckers for all I care. I don't give a shit.
Daywalkers.
I would have been okay with that. No, she had to call them fucking vampires, and they sparkle in the sun. And no, it doesn't work that way.
So, are you telling me that anything other than the original, like, Dracula stories, you're going to shit on repeatedly?
Well, which Dracula story?
Well,
are you talking like Bram Stoker's? Hell no. Bram Stoker's Dracula was legit.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if it's not Stoker, are you gonna shit on everything else, like Blade? The Daywalker?
Blade.
I loved that movie, okay? As much as people hated the Blade thing, Ryan Reynolds made that fucking movie, okay? And everyone forgets that everyone forgets that he was in it.
I think he was only in the third one.
Yes. Well, so there was a Blade 1, a Blade 2,
and then a Blade 3.
No, there was another one called Blade Trinity.
That's Blade 3.
So, yes and no. So Blade Trinity was actually Blade done by the original storyline, not what they did for the movies. So they went off of like the original graphic novels for it, which is why Dracula is actually in it. I forget what the fuck his name is in the whole thing. But but that's the one that Ryan Reynolds is in, and a bunch of other things. If you want to go if you want to go in order, yes, Blade Trinity was Blade 3, but they completely shifted from what it originally was to what the actual storyline should have been.
So he was not in the first two. He was only in Blade Trinity.
Yes. I think Blade Trinity was the best one.
Sure.
Says the guy that quotes Mortal Kombat and doesn't even watch the fucking movie.
Yeah, fuck the 2021 movie. Don't open that coffin. Please don't. No, hey, what's up, Ray? When it comes to vampire shit, all right, Blade, I'd have to rewatch it just so that way my argument is valid. But I want to say that I get a. Oh shit! Thanks, man.
You're welcome.
I just noticed that my alerts are behind shit, which is weird.
Well, that's all right. That's why I'm here. I'm here to help. I am here for you.
It's still in my quotes now, motherfucker. But I'd have to
for those playing the home game.
That doesn't count.
Wrestling is amazing. I can quote all 12 languages used in Mortal Kombat.
No, I can't.
Sorry, I was doing my best Darren impression. I had to have like the raspier smoker voice, plus things that are completely irrelevant to any conversation that I'm ever going to have with an adult human.
Horrible impersonation. First of all, motherfucker, no, I don't even think there's 12 languages in fucking Mortal Kombat. I don't even think they've ever actually introduced a language other than English. Number two, I forgot what your second thing was.
Dude, Cyrax speaks binary, all right, and Reptile speaks snake, apparently. So there's at least 3.
They've never, so they haven't gone the way of Lord of the Rings, where they actually created a language for this specific race. They've never done that. It's all been in fucking English. But Blade, I would have to rewatch in order to have an argument, because I can't. The biggest thing for me is how vampires are made and how vampires die. Those are like 2 core concepts, and the only movie to ever get that 100% correct is Interview with the Vampire.
So in that one, they actually bring up that the only way to kill a vampire is silver and ultraviolet light. Garlic and crosses are things of fairy tales that people wish were there, but they don't actually exist.
Silver really doesn't do that much. It inhibits them. It inhibits them. But that's about it. Ultraviolet light, like the sun, yeah, we'll kill them.
It's funny that we have now gone to the point of ultraviolet light rather than just sunlight.
We just got over this, Ray. I said, fuck Twilight. Fuck Twilight.
See, Ray understands.
No, if that bitch had called them anything other than vampires, I'd been okay with that. But no, she had to call them vampires that sparkle in the fucking sun. No,
what about her fucking werewolves that are just gigantic dire wolves? Okay, do you know what makes me really sad, Darren?
Oh my god.
The thing that makes me so incredibly sad is that you have seen Twilight, but you haven't seen Mortal Kombat.
I only watched the first Twilight, and that was with an ex because she wanted to watch it. That's the only reason why I watched it.
I am the closest thing to a girlfriend you have right now, and you have not watched Mortal Kombat 2021 with me. How
open that
dare you?
Coffin. Do not open that coffin.
How
I'm so done with the Mortal Kombat 2021 film.
Yes, Johnny, Anne Rice. He cannot stand the fact that Anne Rice basically made vampires that rolled around with, like, Lisa Frank.
No. Anne Rice wrote the Interview with the Vampire novels.
Oh, no. Then what the fuck was her name?
She's not the Twilight author. Yeah, that actually sounds like you, Ray. He's like, I would get a group of army buddies together and see them all.
I would too, actually. Oh, by the way, even though there was a bunch of, like, gore and carnage and everything, like, my old roommate, actually The Stalker, right?
Okay.
That is her favorite fucking movie. She would literally have Twilight on repeat in her room, even if she wasn't there.
Oh.
Okay, like that was just on, just constantly going. It didn't matter. I actually found a Twilight meme yesterday. I think it was. I sent it to her at like midnight because anytime I see a Twilight meme, I think of Stalker. To the point that it said Dwight Light from like The Office, and all of the people were like all the characters had Dwight's face to them. Oh, it was beautiful.
Yeah,
Stephanie
no,
Breyer,
Twilight does not
Fire.
count.
Yeah, that's it.
Anne Rice nailed it. So what's sad is Interview with the Vampire was so good. Both the book and the movie was so fucking good. Queen of the Damned, which I believe is a sequel to Interview with the Vampire, is fucking horrible. Both the book and the movie are horrible.
Was it Queen of the Damned with Aaliyah or?
Yes, yes. But there's also another book that I'm so happy that they didn't fucking make into a movie, and that's called The Book of Armand. If you, I don't know, have you seen Interview with the Vampire?
Maybe part. That's the one with Tom Cruise, right?
Correct. Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, Kirsten Dunst is in it.
I like Kirsten Dunst.
Kirsten Dunst plays an awesome fucking Charlotte. But then Antonio Banderas plays Armand, who is the oldest living vampire, and he has his own book and his own story, which Lestat and Louis both kind of partake in. And that book was good, but they never made that into a movie, basically because of the failed success of Queen of the Damned.
Which is funny because I think Queen of the Damned actually at the time, because it was Aaliyah and the passing of Aaliyah and all that other stuff, I think actually made more money, but it didn't have as much profit because of the high production costs. I believe it actually made more in the theaters than Interview with a Vampire did.
So Aaliyah's
got it.
I'm not gonna speak ill of the dead. I'm gonna try and avoid that because Aaliyah was a fantastic singer.
No, she was a shit actress, but she was hot.
I'm not even talking about her acting.
Oh, okay.
Her acting is almost irrelevant because the fact that she passed, I think, before the movie was released, hyped up the movie's, I guess, value per se or whatever. So people are like, "Oh, it's Aaliyah's last film. Let's go see it." You have 100% of the diehard fans that are gonna go see it, and then
Right.
you have a larger portion of people that are gonna see it because she passed. It's not anywhere near like Heath Ledger and the Joker because that's a completely different ballgame.
See, I think that Heath Ledger did a good job. All right. But I think that he was given so many more accolades purely because of the passing.
That might be true. Chadwick Boseman may be in the same boat, but
no, Jimmy, we're actually talking about vampires.
Well, we're kind of transcending vampires into actors' deaths before movie releases.
Yes, and that was transcended by Darren's hatred for Twilight. For some reason, he doesn't like sparkly vampires. I don't know why.
They're not fucking vampires. Sorry, they're not vampires.
I love how Darren takes something that is made up, and he's like, they didn't stick to the made-up storyline, and I'm gonna hate on it because of that.
It's not even, yeah, it's a made-up storyline, but it's like, it's not realistic. If vampires were to truly exist and expose themselves to the sun, they would crisp. That makes sense. Why? Because they're stalkers of the night.
Or are they? Or they just move to Forks because it's always overcast there and they can go out and play.
The Lestat movie sucked. That was Queen of the Damned. That was a horrible film, horrible book. I thought the plot was fucking stupid. It would have made more sense from the book standpoint. I don't care about the fucking movie. From the book standpoint, basically the book is about Lestat getting into music, becoming a rock star to feed on his fucking fans. And through his music, he awakens the Queen of the Damned, and her blood can give him supernatural ability, whatever.
Can I point out that when you say Lestat, I'm just thinking of a French math book?
He is French. He's not French. He's like New Orleans French. But
that's kind of French. That's almost like a French Canadian, right? Not really, and hated by
No.
most of the people that are in the general area.
Same concept, just not French Canadian. But anyway, remove the music part, him being part of a rock band. The rest of the story would have been fucking awesome. Somehow he awakens the Queen of the Damned and he becomes more powerful. Love it. It's great. No, they made him a lead singer of a fucking rock band, and I'm sorry, the music was horrible. The plot was horrible.
Oh, speaking of really bad music in a movie, I have to bring this up because someone brought it to my attention.
Don't bring up Mortal Kombat.
I'm giving you a point for that because I did not bring that one up. You did.
That was a disclaimer. That doesn't count as a point.
Too late. I'm the one doing points. But Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. I'm pretty sure everyone has seen Harry. No?
Nope. Never cared for the Harry Potter series.
Is it because it doesn't stick to the original plot of like Merlin and Arthur and Sword in the Stone with like magic and...
Oh, just never cared for it.
Oh my god. Anyway. So
John Carpenter's vampires, yes.
There is a scene in that movie where they're going to a party, and it's like a party for, you know, the fact that these 3 wizarding schools are all competing, right? And it's this party where they can all dance together and whatever. Go back and listen to the lyrics in that song. It is absolutely fucking horrible, and it's so lucky that these people aren't actually making music, and they didn't try to do something like that. Did you just give yourself a shout out?
Well, yeah, because I shot you out on mine.
Oh, all right, fine. I guess.
Fair exchange.
I guess.
I'm
gonna find it. Go ahead and keep going, but I'm finding this thing, and we're going to watch this because.
Oh God.
It's so bad.
What are you making me listen to?
Oh, I'm not. I mean, I'm gonna pull it up in a second, but Goblet of Fire.
Yeah, I never cared to. It's not a matter of whether or not I've never even read the books. Just never cared to entertain myself with the whole Harry Potter series.
Why not?
So, I just never cared to. I either have the interest for it or I don't.
Is it because that it doesn't have to do with one of the 3 things that you have knowledge of in this world?
It's one of 7 things. Thank you. And no, it has nothing to do with that.
All right, fine. Anyway, I'm not actually gonna. I will look up the lyrics to the song. I'm not gonna actually play the thing because it's that fucking dumb.
Right. I'm trying to think of like the worst lyrically written shit I've ever heard.
The Beatles. I have feet down below my knees. How fucking high do you have to be for that? I'm sorry, the Beatles are overrated as shit.
Dude, if you're gonna hate on the Beatles, you might as well hate on every band from the fucking 60s and 70s. And for that, you should be smacked.
Most of the bands I will. There are some that I won't, but for the most part, I'm sorry. If you are not going to say, I love the Backstreet Boys, you should not be saying, I love the Beatles.
Fuck the Backstreet Boys.
Exactly. Right? Because all they are is a group of dudes in pop culture that are, like, out there having sex with random women.
Number one,
the music was horrible.
Beatles, at least after the first album, Beatles wrote their own shit. Number 2, at least the Beatles were actual musicians and being portrayed as actual fucking musicians. The only thing the Backstreet Boys have are fucking voices. And a lot of that shit is pitch shifted. All right? No. You can't compare Backstreet Boys to fucking Beatles.
Absolutely I can. They are just the boy band of the time. I will compare them to the Monkees. I will compare them to the Jackson 5. I will compare them to the Partridge Family.
Whoa.
Whoa, what? My bad. Am I not allowed to talk about the Jackson 5 because that was before Michael realized that he was a white woman and not a black man? Rest in peace, Robin Williams.
The most talented one in the fucking 5.
I don't know, man. Janet Jackson with Busta Rhymes. That was some shit. And Janet Jackson with Justin Timberlake.
Was Janet Jackson part of the Jackson 5? No.
Oh, fuck, I have no idea what Jacksons were part of the 5. Was she like the redheaded 12th child or something?
Pretty much.
Oh, okay.
She was off on her own. She was never part of the 5.
I honestly, I could not tell you who was in the Jackson 5 or who's related to him unless we bring up random court cases about people trying to get money from the doctor that might have killed him, might not have killed him, whatever.
Yeah, the only two Jacksons that I know of in the Jackson 5 are Michael and Tito.
Anytime I hear Tito, no. I'm sorry, I always think of like I know it's Theo, but I always think of like a Mexican uncle whenever someone says Tito.
I think Italian. But
all right, I can go with that. And by the way, Jimmy, I'm there with you on some of Pink Floyd, some of the other stuff. So I like their music, but I don't like their music when it's performed by them. Go look up Another Brick in the Wall done by Korn. Jonathan Davis singing Another Brick in the Wall is fucking amazing.
So what you just said is one of the reasons I loved Green Day so much, is what they perform live is exactly how they sound like on the CD. And they
Jimmy, I know you're not kidding. And I think that was actually a thing on Jerry Springer also. It actually brought up a huge legal case about a woman that performed using her mouth. Let's just do that. I'm going to try to keep this PG. In sexual acts. And instead of ingesting or instead of, discarding, went into the bathroom with a turkey baster and then basically in vitroed herself with it, ended up having a kid, and then went after the guy for child support, even though he's like, no, that's not a thing. I'm sorry, I never actually had sex with you. And the courts are like, well, this shows you did, which technically proves that you can have a Virgin Mary.
All right, I'm not going to defend religion on that one, but
Jimmy,
no,
we need to hang out more.
Jimmy Dubs. So LaToya Jackson is probably the least liked Jackson.
I don't know. I think the alcoholic dad was more.
Yeah. Well, all right. If not the alcoholic dad, LaToya Jackson makes a fucking strong second. But
I honestly, Joseph might have just had like a really, really good shot, from like 3 feet away. They were just sitting there trying to, they were just sitting there, trying to be good children of the Lord because they weren't married yet. So, Mary's touching her no-no button, and Joe's over there in the corner playing with his no-no stick, and there just happened to be this like random golden shot from, downtown. Pew! Good.
Might want to look up for a bolt of lightning.
That's it.
Yeah, I think LaToya is a strong second for the least liked Jackson. I was a big fan of Janet. Janet is a legitimate singer. All the shit that she did on stage. She started lip syncing. I want to say in the latter 2000s. Which I was a little disappointed with, but all her choreography that she did on stage, she did while singing live. That's fucking impressive. Think of it this way: if y'all want to know the difference between, a diva being able to sing or someone like Janet Jackson being able to sing while doing all the shit on stage, try doing high intensity cardio training and singing to your favorite songs at the same time.
All right,
that's pretty much what it is.
All right, so they had Marine, Sigmund, Toronto, I guess that's Tito, Jermaine, LaToya, Marlon.
Jermaine.
Huh?
Jermaine, that's another Jackson.
Yeah. Jermaine, LaToya, Marlon, Brandon, Michael, Steven, and Janet.
Jesus. It's like, why have that? You know that since the father was a fucking musician, that he was having that many kids in hopes of one of them being an actual star.
And the father was, I guess, Joseph Walter.
Jonathan Davis is one of the greatest of all time. Don't come at me.
Wait, what? No. Absolutely.
Jonathan Davis?
No, dude.
Jonathan Davis from Korn?
Yes, absolutely. No. Go listen to Jonathan Davis's rendition of Another Brick in the Wall. If you've never heard it before, like, it's a really, really good rendition of it. And he does both parts 1 and 2 if you sit there and listen to the whole thing. It is like a 10-minute song, of course, because, well, Another Brick in the Wall was, you know, a 38-minute song or whatever it was on a 90-minute album. But, no, Jimmy, I am adding you as saying I agree with you. So, at Jimmy, yes.
No.
You don't like Jonathan Davis?
Never been a fan of Korn, never will be. For the same reasons as Smash Mouth. I just not a fan of the tone, just not a fan of the style. It's appreciated for sure, but Korn actually used to rehearse as a garage band down the street from my cousin's house in Newhall before they broke big.
Yeah, and they did a bunch of music videos in See Me.
Yeah. Again, hats off to them, but never been a fan, never will be.
I also liked All in the Family with Jonathan Davis and Fred Durst. Like, Limp Bizkit is overrated as shit. Don't get me wrong, Limp Bizkit was, for always overrated. Just like, and I'm gonna get a lot of hate for it, of course. But was it? Yeah, it's a System of a Down. I'm sorry, but that is absolute trash music. It was said best at one point by a radio announcer that they are the world's worst band that came out at the perfect time.
So, I think the other night when you're having me listening to some very little known Smash Mouth, the biggest issue that I had with some of the material is the lack of consistency. System of a Down at least had some consistency. Let me retract that a little bit. One of the songs that you sent me was Let's Go or Let's Rock, something like that from Smash Mouth.
Yeah.
So the consistency in that song was the two very different genres. And it would bounce back and forth between the two.
The reggae and the pop metal?
Fuck, the pop metal? No, that was kind of TSOL level punk rock.
I like calling it pop metal just because it's not like...
No.
It's not like...
Pop metal? That's Metallica.
I don't think they're metal. They're rock, but I don't know.
Well, they're metal. They're metal. It's just they're pop metal. I'll give you that. But
all right.
Anyway, System of a Down had much more consistency than Smash Mouth did. It's just again that kind of flavor I never liked. Mudvayne. Oh boy. Never been a fan of Mudvayne.
Like I said, I've never heard them.
If you liked Korn, you'll like Mudvayne.
Oh, okay. And it was one of those things, again, like we talked about the other night, where I was in junior high when I first heard Korn. Okay? A song like All in the Family in junior high, or a song like Chutes and Ladders or something like that. I mean, I was a nerdy fucking kid, and I'm like, I'm edgy. You know, it's... I don't know, it was a little bit later on, I ended up actually finding ICP, which I think they're hilarious. I like ICP. You guys can hate on me all you fucking want.
No, not like this.
But the fact that they've been able to create such a gigantic following with never being able to be played on mainstream radio, it's great for what they've done and everything. Dude, their following, it was got so big, they got listed by the FBI as an organized crime unit. Oh, don't get me wrong, they're absolutely stupid. But they're hilarious. The Dating Game is great. Alright, Fuck the World is my angry song that I listen to.
No. No.
What do you mean, no? How can someone that hates the world so much not like Fuck the World?
Insane Clown Posse was a band whose album I would wipe my ass with. Happily.
And the funny thing is, no. And they would probably agree with you and say, congratulations for wiping your ass, but you bought it.
Oh no, I'd make sure I got it for free. I would never purchase that kind of toilet paper myself.
I happen to own all 6 Joker's cards, original copies of them.
That's great. To each their. I mean, I have Zelda amiibos, so to each their own.
Yeah,
but
mine brought me joy. Yours are a sad. No,
I grew up with Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction. The first album I ever bought was Metallica's Ride the Lightning. I remember when Counting Crows debuted.
never liked Counting Crows.
Counting Crows, that's like a relaxation kind of music, like kind of in the same. I put them in the same boat as John Mayer and what's it called, Collective Soul.
I appreciate John Mayer and his creativity and his like ability to do stuff. I like his voice. I don't like his music.
That's fair. Again, that you have to be, for something like John Mayer, you have to be in like the level of the interest or sort of a musicianship's appreciation for it. The same approach can be made for Tool. Tool is the most maybe other than Oingo Boingo. Whoa, C3PO.
I agree. All right.
No, hold the fuck on. 311 and John Mayer are 2 completely different categories.
Yeah, one's good and one's not. Continue.
No, they're both good, just different fucking categories. But Tool is, I think Tool and Oingo Boingo are the 2 most mathematically precise groups that have ever existed.
You know, Oingo Boingo is another group that I can appreciate it, but I've never liked them.
C3PO, 311 is the one I'd put my noose around for. No, that's not true because I love 311.
I got to see them live several years back, about 3.5 years ago, when I told you that.
Nice.
Do you remember when I brought up the whole list of bands that I saw that I should not have seen together? Yeah. It was Offspring and Cypress Hill together on stage with Marcy Playground, Lit, 311, and the Gin Blossoms.
Then again, Woodstock 94, you had
Uncontrolled Rape in every one of the tents happening, and it never happened again after that. Yeah.
No, that's Woodstock 99.
Oh, my bad.
Woodstock 94, you had Crosby, Stills, and Nash on the same stage as Metallica, on the same stage as Cypress Hill, on the same stage as Salt and Pepper. You could not be more weird.
Okay, so there was a great music festival that used to be around, and it's not anymore. It was called Audiotistic. And it was out in LA, and it was kind of in the rave scene as a massive, but it was really a music festival. And so you would have DJs there that are spinning like happy hardcore, trance, and those types of things, but you'd also have people like Cypress Hill, and I think Nelly was there at the time. You had Dre that showed up. You had all of these things. It's just like really weird. By the way, Johnny, it's weird that you bring them up because Darren and I also saw those 2 bands in concert together.
Great concert.
Weezer was fucking horrible.
I could appreciate Weezer for what it was because
not going on after Offspring. We talked about this.
Yeah, they should not have gone after Offspring. But at the same time, they should never have been billed together.
Wait.
The biggest problem.
Johnny, did you go to Fountain Valley High?
We were at that same concert. If you did.
How did you see Weezer? How did you?
I think.
Did they do something else? Because that's where we saw it. But we won a contest through K-Rock for it.
Yeah, we went to the Six Flags in Santa Clarita. Maybe they did it the next year. Maybe it was the same too. Because C3PO, basically, Ricky and I went to the same school. I was a grade ahead of him, and we won the
punk rock prom through K-Rock, doing a bunch of random ass shit. Yeah, what year was it? I think that was 2001 that we won it through K-Rock.
But we tied it with another school.
I thought it was Fountain Valley.
No, so I think Simi and Santa Sue tied each other.
No, Santa Sue won it the year before. They were nowhere near us.
I know. They won it the year before, and that was Blink-182, and they actually played at the school. the next year, I believe we tied it with Santa Sue. It was Simi for sure that tied it. Yeah, so you must have been the following year then.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, yeah, it was a lot of fun. I still have the newspaper clipping around here somewhere, so I can go back through and actually take a look at it. But
Weezer should not have followed the Offspring, but I was one of those that could actually appreciate Weezer, unlike the crowd that drew the Offspring. And the kids that were into the Offspring were like all charged and ready to go, who had never heard of Weezer before. They're like, fuck yeah, another band. And they get disappointed that it's some indie rock shit.
Not just that. Okay, so they were up there. Wait, 3PO was Rob Schneider there? Dude, I think Johnny was there with us, Darren.
C3PO, did you go in 2002? Here's the answer. Because if he went in at 2002.
01, see? He was there with us.
Yeah, he must have been there with us.
Oh, that's fucking weird. He was the first person I met when I joined the army, when I got to my unit. And I met him in New Jersey. Oh, that's fucking weird. Johnny, we were destined to meet one another at some point in our lives. I'm a little creeped out about this now.
But yeah, Weezer's just a different style. The sad part is Weezer could be a lot better on stage, and they're not for some of their music.
Oh, okay, that actually makes a little more sense. He wasn't one of the high schools. He just got to go because he won in the concert.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Because I could have swore it was Fountain Valley that was there with us. Granted, Six Flags with just two high schools would have been completely dead. And I can't imagine them letting adults in there with all of those kids running around.
I just remember that night. My only two fears in this world, one of them is roller coasters.
And the other one is a bad performance from a band that you say Beatles?
No, Needles.
Oh, I thought you said Beatles, and I'm like,
no.
I also have a fear of the Beatles, like they'll ever make another album.
No, Needles. But anyway, so I couldn't go on any of the rides, whatever. And Zach actually stuck with me most of the night. I had just broken up with some girl or whatever, and I was heartbroken or whatever, but I was just kind of past the heartbreak or whatever. The guy that she chose, I guess, was like hooked on E, and he was out of control that night and just an embarrassment. And I'm like, this is...
I was dating Allison at that time. The little raver chick that was always on E. And she was part of that same friend group, right?
No. She was not part of the same group.
Okay.
Are you referring to the guy that my ex had chosen?
No, I was referring to your ex.
Well, okay, so the guy that my ex had chosen. No, she was not part of that group.
No, I was referring to your ex, not the dude she chose, just your ex, unless she was your ex is a dude. Okay. Anyway, like I said, I'm good with first names. So it wasn't Ashley.
No.
Okay.
No, Ashley was too smart for that. She wouldn't have associated with anybody like that.
Oh, bullshit. Oh, no. Story time. So,
all right.
Time to start throwing a bunch of people under the bus.
Maybe not at that time. Maybe afterward.
So this would have been my sophomore year. So it would have been your junior year, because that is the year that I dated Allison. Okay. So I don't know if you guys had not gotten together yet, or if it was after, whatever. But Ashley was absolutely in love with Marshall. Do you remember Marshall?
I do remember this.
Okay.
Remember this.
And so we were there at a party that Skippy actually took me to. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so it was actually right after Bye Bye Birdie, by the way. It was the post-cast party for Bye Bye Birdie.
I remember.
Oh, why do you remember? You weren't there.
Trust me, I remember.
Okay, but anyway, so...
I'll tell you why after.
Allison was high as a kite. Ashley was drunk out of her mind. So was Chelsea. And both of them were trying to hit on Marshall. Marshall was so incredibly drunk that he got up, went to the bathroom, came back, sat down, said, "I forgot my legs." Stood back up and went back to the bathroom. So stupid. And then he was trying to hide from people. So then Skippy was trying to hide from one of those girls also because she had the hots for Skippy at the time. Skippy is hiding underneath the dining room table, eating a piece of pizza, going, "Go away before she finds me." She walks into the kitchen going, "Skippy, are you in here?" and finds me and Skippy having a conversation under the dining room table. She's like, "Skippy, what are you doing under here?" And I'm like, "This isn't Skippy." "Oh, who is it?" I'm like, "This is Marshall." "Well, then where's Skippy? Did you check the garage?" No. She gets up, walks away to the garage to go look for him. He's trying to run upstairs to hide from her at this point. Comes back in the house going, he's not in the dryer or something like that. Skippy, trying to get away, said, "Did you check the washing machine?" No. Goes back in the garage, starts a load of laundry with no clothes in it whatsoever, comes back into the house saying he's not in the washing machine, and then screams to the top of her lungs, "Steve, wash your clothes!" Oh, it was a great night. Tell me how you know about all of this.
So, Bye Bye Birdie. I believe that play was 2002.
Um,
It would have been your junior year.
no, my sophomore year. Yes, 02. 02? 99, 2000. Yes, 02. 01, I'm sorry. Same year,
01?
same year as all that happened. Yes, 01.
Okay. So the reason why I know about how all that happened, because I didn't find out until way after. But
I'm pretty sure I've told the story before too, but continue.
Without going into great detail, I do know the events of that night. I think I do know who was having the hots for Skippy.
Oh, both of them.
Yeah.
It was great.
I did know that Ashley had the hots for fucking Marshall. I'll tell you why after the stream. But basically, after me and Ashley broke up, I find out about all this shit after we broke up.
Okay.
So I'm like, dude, this would have been great information to know then. But me and Ashley didn't start dating until 01, 02. So it would have been, I want to say October or November of 01.
Okay, so that was after, because that was the last show.
After.
Yeah, that was, I think,
It was
May.
after for sure.
But yeah, so good times. Yeah, I had fun with that group. But anyway, no, she is not too smart to get involved with those people.
Wait, no. Those people, I'm sorry. The drama people, I'm sorry. They were fucking harmless. All right? Alcohol is the least of your fucking concerns. And I'm sorry, I was 17 once. I was also 13 once. I drank at fucking 13. All right?
We do not condone drinking, by the way, guys.
We do not condone drinking. But again, Ashley, I think the worst that she ever did is drank, and I think she either hit a cigarette or weed once.
Nope, that was ecstasy.
Oh, was it ecstasy?
Yep.
She did it once, and then that was fucking it.
Nope.
Not when I dated her.
Nope, this is all before, because of she was going out to raves with Allison at the time. And
wow.
Yeah, no, I knew lots about those people, and then just stopped talking to all of them, because, well, that wasn't the kind of people I wanted to associate with. So after Allison and I broke up, that was the end of it. I did go to prom with Shannon, which was also part of that group my junior year. I actually danced with Ashley because we were all in like the same party together. Because they were like the little trio.
That had to have been the year before her and I dated.
No, well, prom was your senior year, because I went as a junior to your guys' senior prom.
Yeah, and me and Ashley went together on that one.
Yeah, like I said, I was there. We hung out. You were probably drunk.
I don't remember anything. I remember bits and pieces of prom.
That was at, I think, the Backlots. I think that's where our prom was
Oh,
the Hollywood Studio
the Odyssey.
backlots.
No, that was your prom. That was your senior year.
Okay.
I went to that. I can't remember who asked me to go, but ended up going with her. So I was at your senior year prom, but my
As an
senior
old
year
man
prom.
creeper.
Oh fuck. 18, 19? Yeah, that's a creeper. No, ours was, I think, at the Odyssey. Somewhere in the Valley. I don't even know if it's called the Odyssey anymore. It was actually really nice for what I remember. So
I'd have to go back and look at some stuff. I'm pretty sure I still have things. My mom probably has pictures of random shit. I actually found the thing that reminded me of it. I actually found the picture not too long ago of the prom pictures with myself and Shannon.
nice.
But like I said, I'm good with using first names.
Somewhere.
I'm good with using first names, no last names, but I'm good with using first names at this point. Because unless it's a really, unless it's one of those super unique first names, in which case it is, you know, there's no way you could be talking about anybody else.
I think it's a good spot to end it.
Uh-oh. Why are you... You messaged me on like 6 different platforms.
I've messaged you on the same one this whole time.
You people.
It's a good spot to end it.
As Mask shows up. Yes, Mask, you've shown up, so we are ending. You can blame Darren for that. Him and his short attention span. He can only pay attention to things for 2 hours, possibly 2.5. Although you did have a 3-hour stream the other day. I will give you credit for that. You're pushing your boundaries.
Against my will.
What was it really?
Because so I go to visit my folks at like 4 p.m. and if I don't finish that stream before 3, then I can't get cardio in. Now that's kind of on me because I need to be up. I should be up by 6 a.m. and getting cardio done between 6:30 and 7:30. But since I'm not, then I got to squeeze it in where I can. And between 2 and 4 is like the optimal time to squeeze in cardio and weight training.
So why don't you just run down to Tipsy Goat?
No, that's way too fucking far for a run.
Just there's your cardio. My mouth's feeling fine, by the way.
But yeah, you actually Mass, you actually missed like the whole music segment where I shitted on Insane Clown Posse
and praise the Beatles as being the world's best boy band.
They're not a fucking boy band.
Really?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm assuming they're genders. You're right. I have no idea what genders they are.
Yeah, they're actual men, unlike the fucking Backstreet Boys.
To be, I will give you that on them, but Justin Timberlake, I can't shit on Justin Timberlake. I'm sorry, that dude is way too.
As a actor / comedian, I think JT is great, and he is a legit singer. I've never discredited the vocal prowess of fucking JT or even some of the members of that group. But I'm sorry, when the Beatles recorded their shit, they didn't have pitch correction.
They also didn't have talent, but we're still...
I'm sorry. They can play musical instruments and sing at the same time, something that the fucking Backstreet dipshits could never do.
They just didn't have to.
They did once. I'm sorry, no, that was JT is NSYNC.
Yes.
NSYNC did it once, and they actually did an awesome cover of That Thing You Do live, and I actually give them props for that. I thought that was fantastic when I first saw it. I'm like, oh my god! Not one, they're actually playing instruments and singing at the same time. But number 2, they're playing an awesome song.
And that's the whole thing, is that so they didn't play their own instruments at that time. They didn't need to. It didn't mean that they weren't musicians.
No, I'm sorry. Yes, the voice is a musical instrument. I will grant you that. But if all you're doing is singing in a fucking unison, I'm sorry. The only 2 groups that ever need to be mentioned, 1, Jackson 5, number 2, Boyz II Men. Those 2 groups actually had fucking talent. because they could do it a cappella, they could do it anywhere. Their experience went unparalleled. I'm sorry, Backstreet Boys and NSYNC were manufactured bullshit.
Absolutely. There was one group around that time, though, that I give more credit to as a group. I can't tell you any of their names because I never learned any of their names. But it was actually 98 Degrees. Vocally speaking, they were probably the most talented of all of those groups that came out at the time. I don't know why you're facepalming so hard right now. You were just singing the praises of Michael Jackson that's never once played a fucking instrument other than maybe a small child, all right?
If we're keeping it on the basis of just vocals being an instrument, then Michael Jackson beats the shit out of all of the Backstreet Boys and all of the NSYNC combined.
Right, but in your defense, that would mean that the Beatles are better than Michael Jackson because they play instruments.
They are. And guess who gobbled up the fucking rights to the Beatles? Michael Jackson. Why? Because he knew they were that good.
No, because he could do it better because they were that bad.
He never covered them. He just gobbled up the copyrights.
Guys,
why? Because the rights were that good. The music was that good. And he knew the value in it.
I don't know. I think he just realized that there was a cult following. It's like, you are really just like the people that really like System of a Down. I don't know why, but like, yeah, Darren's face is amazing, right? Hey, look, all right, I was a diehard fan of a horrible band in high school named 747, if you remember right.
Oh, they were shit.
Absolutely, but I was a fan. And they played instruments and sang at the same time, which, in your definition, would make them better than Michael Jackson.
Neither in key or on time.
Doesn't matter. Apparently they can sing and play an instrument. I'm just using your logic again.
Again, if the Beatles weren't that good, why did Michael Jackson gobble up their copyrights?
I don't know.
No, your answer is because they were that good. Chris Stapleton is... Ooh. Chris Stapleton. I want to agree with you, C3PO, but that would almost sound blasphemous to me. So
you can love and Mom, you can love the Beatles all you want, all right? I did not actually grow up listening to the Beatles. I grew up listening to classic rock, not classic boy bands.
Oh, okay. Beatles is kind of in that category. They're kind of a further cry from a band like Kansas, but even Kansas had fucking awesome material.
Yeah, and so I grew up listening to Kansas and Guns N' Roses and Metallica, and actually Metallica wasn't even classic at the time, but I mean they were like the newer side of it. But here's the whole thing. Go ahead.
If you're good with Kansas and the Guns, then I feel a little bit better.
Okay, like we talked about, like we've actually talked about a couple of times, I can appreciate things for their artistic value and everything else. And did the Beatles create some amazing earworms? Absolutely. But lyrically, it was so incredibly stunted.
The entire industry was stunted because they had never done that shit before.
It doesn't... Oh, so you're saying that they're good because they were the shiniest piece of shit on a pile of shit?
Yeah, and who's the shiniest piece of shit today that's going to be glorified 40 years from now? I know, we can't really think of anything, but I'm sure there's somebody.
AOC.
No. She's the gift that keeps on giving.
No, that's chlamydia.
Her too.
Wow. Yeah, see, Journey, Hank Williams Jr. So the whole thing is that I was actually raised on classic rock and country. So, like, New Age country, I can't stand. Like, my like for country kind of stops around Shania Twain starting pop country.
All right.
That's kind of where it ends.
I can understand that, because when you grow up with a particular genre that's still in its roots, those roots are eventually going to blossom into a completely different category. Punk rock is no different. Punk rock, metal, and alternative all have the same roots, and that's the Misfits. So I go back to this. The Misfits is a catalyst for all these fucking genres that were ever created. And some are good, some to other people's opinions are terrible. neither here nor there. But again, it all leads back to the same fucking roots. And the Beatles were the roots for a lot of them.
I like that the way you worded that. It's like some are good and some people's opinions are bad.
Not all people's.
Oh, but
All right.
you're cutting out really bad. But I'm guessing you're trying to get off of this.
No, something just happened. That was weird because I got like beeps on my headphones anyway. No, C-3PO again. I never discredited your point. Chris Stapleton is fucking amazing, but if
He doesn't hold a candle to the Beatles in Darren's eyes.
for me to say that would be blasphemous as a musician. So I'm not going to say that, but I'm not going to disagree with you either.
See, you see the pick around his neck? John Lennon once actually looked kind of in the direction of a guy that later owned that pick, so he kind of idolizes it.
No, this has a different story. Thank you. Which is not fiction at all, like you just uttered.
Oh, okay. No, you've been wearing that thing for freaking years.
No, it was actually a different pick. So,
was it?
Yeah, and then around 2003, 2004, I took it off, and then probably about a year ago, I put it back on. So
a different pick.
Yeah, different pick. Anyway, I got a jet. Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
Yeah, he has to go get his wings. His weekly buffalo wings are more important than you guys.
Well, that and Joe's also waiting to eat because he's gonna get wings with me, and I'm sure he's starving.
Johnny, absolutely. I will meet you in Discord in a little bit. I gotta go talk to Missa. You kind of missed some of like the heavier news earlier, but yes, I will. Darren, is there anyone that we should go and raid? Oh, you're already gone. Never mind. You don't really care.
Not Joe necessarily. Seth Ballbangs is on though.
Seth is on. Yeah, why not? Let's go throw everybody onto Seth really quick. I'm not going to give a huge thing because everyone has heard Seth and seen Seth before. He's an awesome dude. But we are going to go raid Seth. Guys, thank you very much for joining the podcast, hanging out with me, and all of that other fun stuff. I will more than likely be streaming tomorrow. Darren, if you want to join me, you are more than welcome to. I don't know what I'm going to be streaming, but I will be on. Guys, have yourselves a good night. I'm out.